This week on thERINpy, it's Emmy Award-winning media personality Ryan Clark. He's an ESPN analyst. He hosts The Pivot. He had a pivot from the NFL to broadcasting. He's been with his wife for decades, and he stopped drinking alcohol. And I need to know more about all of this. Please do me a favor and hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this episode. It looks like a bell or a check mark, depending on where you're listening. That way you'll get an alert every time a new thERINpy drops. Please consider taking 2 seconds to leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. It would help me so much. It's how people find new shows. Maybe even consider joining the thERINpy with Erin Washington Facebook discussion group, where you can pitch me guests or topics. You know you want in there. And now your weekly dose of thERINpy with Ryan Clark. So thERINpy is me doing live therapy with either a mental health professional or someone that I respect that has gone through similar things that I'm going through that I can learn from. For you specifically, pivoting in careers, sobriety. You've been married over 20 years. I made it half that time. So specifically, those are some things that I would like to get in with you that you could kind of coach me up on.
I don't know about being able to coach you up on all of that, but I can definitely share some of the things I've been through.
I respect your hustle entrepreneurially, and again, in your relationship, you show up for your people, even though you're the most scheduled person that I know, you still show up for our mutual friends.
Yeah,
the sobriety thing that I'm on, the journey, I just want to learn from you. And for anyone that wants to come for you and say that you're doing this to help your image with white women, I will say, I have known you for 20 years, and this has been in the works for months. So I'm going to shut that down right now.
The funny thing is, you can love all people. You can have relationships with all people. You can be fair to people. You can be kind to people and still understand the differences in people.
Yes.
And I think we're at a place now where people don't want to talk about the differences. And when you're talking about the differences and not necessarily placing on it if it's good or bad, then you're somehow wrong or you're somehow being divisive. I think, it's gotten to the point in our society to where if you do bring any sort of awareness or attention to the differences in people based on race, ethnicity, culture, color, then you're being divisive. But you can actually be as evil as you want to be. You can be as unkind as you want to be, as long as you don't bring up the color or the race. You just mistreat the person. And so I think that we now have things so backwards. And we're not allowing people to use their experiences to educate others.
Completely agree with you. And knowing you for 20 years and knowing your character, I laughed out loud, like the press that you're getting. Like, it is so wrong and unfair. I met you in 2005 when I spotted the cutest baby I've ever seen. And I went up to your wife, asked if I could hold her. And that's when our journey began. I started babysitting Logan. Your dad taught me how to eat a crawfish properly, tore up the dance floor at my wedding. Like, it's been 20 years. We go back to Washington. After leaving Washington, you go to New York, then on to Pittsburgh, where your Pro Bowl season, win a Super Bowl. 13 seasons in the NFL as an undrafted free agent. The typical career for anyone wondering is 3.5. What do you owe, like, the longevity of your career to? And is most of it being driven by feeling slighted or overlooked?
Yeah, I think some of it's just God's grace, right? Other parts of it is luck, right? Being in the right place at the right time, and then being prepared to take advantage of those opportunities. When I got to Washington, they picked me up the day before camp. I was just supposed to be a camp body. And the blessing in that was that Greg Williams didn't care how people got there, right? I think it was kind of part of his sort of dismissive attitude to authorities and to norms that he was like, nah, if you can play, you can play. And so it was definitely him who gave me that opportunity, put me on the field. And then I think the rest of it was like, I never got comfortable. When you get into the league as an undrafted guy, when you're cut the way I was, when you're actually not even the person that they pick following the tryout in Washington, you're always on edge. You always feel like the shoe could drop at some point. And so because of that, like I always just continued to work. And it wasn't feeling slighted or anything like that. It's like I just loved football. And even when I was in college and I was all SEC, I trained and worked the same way. I was one of the best players on the team, but I felt like I had to outwork everyone. And it wasn't because I felt like I was slighted. It was just who I was. And so I would love to say I walked around with this chip on my shoulder and I always felt like I had to prove people wrong or prove the people that supported me right. No, I just did it because that was how I approached it. I don't think you can flip a switch based on being slighted. I think you either are a certain way or you aren't. And because I was that way, I think it just provided an opportunity for me to be prepared whenever that chance presented itself.
I'm the opposite way. I am when I feel slighted, I'm like, okay. Like if I don't book a guest and then, or like they don't promote my show or something, and then
Yeah.
I have a bigger guest and then they come back and want to come back, like, I'm like, I take it very personally and I'm a perfectionist. And if I feel like somebody doesn't see my worth or value, like I'm coming for that person.
Erin, I take things personally for sure
Yeah.
because some things in life are personal, right? Like there are some ways people approach you or things they say about you or ways they treat you that is truly a reflection of how they see you in their life, the respect they have for you, the value they have for you. But then like some things aren't, and like I've had to learn that about this space. Like we've done shows with people that you know, literally we've had conversations about, oh, I don't know if this person's right for us, or I don't know if we should do them, and then like their marketing people or PR people are pushing them to do our show. And so we're like, yeah, we'll do it. And so, but we expect because this person wanted to do our show so badly that they're going to promote it, right? They're going to be excited about it. And then they don't put out one clip, they don't put
Yep.
anything on their story, right? And then you do a show with The Rock or with Kevin Hart, who could go their entire lives and never even speak to us, right? And those people push your show. They promote your show. President Obama puts out clips of your show, right? And then you're like, wait, so this dude didn't promote our show, but these people do. And so honestly, I think, but my thought is it got more to do with those people than you,
Okay.
you know? But
Thank
you can
you.
still take it personal though, and not let them come back on.
Yeah, they won't come back up. No, I have to ask you about 2007. You're playing in Denver. Can you share what happened?
Yeah, so playing in Denver, it was the second time I played in Denver. The first time was actually with Washington. I missed the next week against Kansas City because the same thing happened
Yeah.
and it was misdiagnosed. And they didn't figure it out till Friday that something was wrong with my spleen, but they never really got into it. So I go to Denver, and what's funny is on the plane, I'm talking to Yonk's my wife, and
Yeah.
I'm joking, and I was like, ha ha, hopefully I don't hurt my spleen, like a joke, like being stupid, right? And so
Yeah.
then we're walking on the plane, and I feel that same pain again. I tell the trainer, and he's basically like, "How would you know that?" And I was like, "Man, I felt this before." And so doctor comes up, takes me off the plane. I tell one of my teammates to call Yank. She thinks it's a joke because of what I did before
Oh,
I left.
right.
And so I remember like that night, the hospital sent me home because they were basically like, we can't do anything for you. They sent me home. I jumped in the shower and I turned the air conditioner all the way down. And I was laying on the floor, butt naked, because I had never been in that much pain. But
Yeah.
all I knew was they told me I should be all right. So I didn't want to call the doctor. Yank eventually calls the doctor. They send me to the hospital to take me home. And I was sick for like a month and a half. I dropped from 205 pounds to 160 pounds in about a month. I eventually go in. They take my spleen. They took my gallbladder, a piece of my liver as well. Probably when I can start training again, I was like maybe 165. I asked the doctor, would I be able to play? And he's like, yeah, you should, as long as you could become as strong as you once were or strong enough to do it. And like to me, see, like that was personal, right? Like that was to me, that was sort of a chip on my shoulder because I was like, wait, y'all thought I was gonna die, but God
Mhm.
didn't let me. Right. And then I was like, wait, you don't think I could play? Like, you don't think I'm gonna work hard enough to be strong enough to do it again? And so like it was those things that drove me. But I remember the first day I went to work out, Coach Garrett Guimont, who was the strength coach at the Steelers, I couldn't do a pull up. And
Yeah.
it wasn't like I was trying to pull up a lot of weight because I was 165,
Hmm.
right? And I just remember like walking away from that, being like, man, I don't know how difficult it's going to be to do it. But I always feel so blessed. I talked about it recently. Sean died, like Sean Taylor passed like, a couple of
Yeah.
days after I got out of the hospital. And God, man, like how blessed was I, to be in the hospital same time as one of my closest friends and to make it and to be breathing and to have the opportunity to work that hard. And so man, it was one of those tough times in life. But like I don't believe if I don't have that, right? If I don't have that sort of experience, none of what happens the rest of my life happens. The person I am now, I never become. Like that is, no pun intended, that is probably the most pivotal experience I've had in my life, like outside of things that have gone on in my family.
And there was no thought to retire when you're 165 pounds about to die.
Hell no. What
Okay.
am I do? I didn't have enough muscles to be a model, Aaron. Like what else would I do? You know what I'm saying? Like what was I? No, it was
And that was the
um
backup career. So yeah, you were screwed. Obviously.
like I think it was one of those things, you know, like football was always going to retire me. Like I wasn't going to retire from
Huh?
football.
Yeah.
And let's say I would have gave it my all and the season came and they didn't want me or no team wanted me or I couldn't perform in a way that said I deserved to be on a roster, then so be it, right? I tried and I gave it 100%. Like I'm okay with failing, like I'm
Yeah.
comfortable with it. What I'm not okay with is not trying. You see what I'm saying? And so,
Yeah.
I get to the point and they're like, bro, you're not good enough. Then you go, all right. Like I put everything into it. Now let's pivot or let's adjust and do something else. But like simply just saying, oh wait, this is going to be hard, so I'm not going to try. Like I'm not built like that. And so I
Yes.
think that was a huge part of getting back on the field and playing the next 6 or 7 years at a high level.
And then 2012, talk about you're going to try. You want to play again in Denver.
Yeah.
You were not allowed. Like Coach Tomlin loves you and respects you as a son and was
Yeah.
like, I'm going to sit him versus have a better chance to win. But for
Yeah.
someone who's willing to die to play football, talk me through the process of getting to the point where you know it's time to retire. Like someone that loves
Yeah.
football so much that they are willing to die. How do you accept or kind of come around to, all right, it's time?
Yeah, because to me, football deserved a certain level of loyalty, a certain level of honesty, and if I could no longer give football that with a good conscience, then I wasn't going to enjoy it anyway. I got hurt probably like game 3 that year, 4, hurt my ankle pretty bad, and they said they needed to go in and clean some stuff up. And I was like, bro, I'm 35. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna let you do surgery. I was like, I'm not dealing with that. And so I go into Coach Hazlitt and I tell him, I said, hey, Coach, I'm not gonna have surgery. I'm gonna keep playing. I said, but like I can barely practice. So for the rest of the year, Aaron, like I was out there, and they just told me I didn't have to move around a lot. That I'd get shots and try to figure it out and play on Sunday. It was Saturdays during that year, the barber would text me from the driveway that he was home and he would cut my hair and Jordan's hair. And I would text Jordan, tell him, hey, go downstairs, open the door, and start getting your hair cut. Because I knew I couldn't move fast enough down the stairs to get there in a timely enough fashion to let the dude in the house. And
Right.
so then on Sunday, I just try to figure it out. And like I didn't want to be that person, right? The what it took or what I had to put in order to be ready or just even have a chance to play on Sunday, I wasn't getting that back from football anymore. Like the reward wasn't the same. And so it was probably about November. I was sitting on the sofa and Yanka walks by and I was like, I'm going to retire. I was like, this is it. I said, I want you to know, I want the kids to know so that you can enjoy it, right? Because we were
Yeah.
losing, like it wasn't great, but I didn't want them. I didn't want to like spring it on them so they couldn't or they didn't know what we were headed toward, right? So if I
Yeah.
had had a bad game, like we didn't have to be sad or we didn't have to people didn't have to be quiet in the car because, like, guess what? This was the fifth to the last time Daddy was ever going to do this, right? This was it. And so for us, man, I think it was like beautiful to do that. Like, I was always so intense about football. Like, I would never let my family come down to the field before the game. Like I just wouldn't,
Yes.
because like I didn't, because it's like, and clearly football is not war, Aaron, right? But like I didn't want that piece of softness before the game, right? I didn't want to like hug and love and see like the people that mattered to me the most. Like I just wanted to go try to split somebody's face mask. But like I started doing that, like letting my family come down before the game and taking pictures. Like I started to. That was like the first year I enjoyed like the whole process of being a player, and so it was really cool down the stretch, but it was just over for
When it was over, like the hits, especially for you with your hits,
me. Yeah.
the camaraderie, even having the next thing lined up, being the first player to get a TV contract, active player. What did the end of football do to you?
Nothing.
Because it was lined up
Because
already, your next pivot?
no, it had nothing to do with lining it up. It was like, what else did I have to give it? Right?
Wow.
A lot of times it's the regret of not having enough of it, right? Or feeling like because I don't I won't have it going forward, there are things from it that I now can't take with me. I took it all with me, right? Like
Yeah.
there wasn't another workout I could do. There wasn't another minute of film I could watch. There wasn't an extra rep I could have took at practice because I did all of those things, right? There wasn't another moment I could be on the table at my house getting treatment or in the cold tubs in the morning. Like I did everything I possibly could to play as long as I could possibly play. And a dude that was undrafted, a dude that was cut, a dude that had a job while he was in the NFL, like played 13 years. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
one team offered me even a tryout after the draft to even say, hey, just come on as an undrafted free agent. Like that dude played 13 years, won a Super Bowl, became a Pro Bowler, and was voted captain of two different teams. So to me, I was just like, man, look what God gave me. And now that's when you slide to the other part and you're like, and now he's giving me something else. And then I was
Yeah.
training people and I trained people as well. So I was ready for it. And like I just said, like I knew I couldn't do it anymore, but I didn't owe the game a thing and the game didn't owe me anything either.
What a beautiful way to go out. Now you work for a network. I have heard you say you love football, obviously, but you don't love TV. Why do it?
Oh, because I love football. And you gotta do something, you know? I was walking down the hall with somebody I'm really close to on TV. And he asked me why I did TV, right?
Mhm.
Like much like this. And I was like, man, like I just love football. I love watching it. I love continuing to be close to it. And I also love sharing this game with people who also love it like I do. Right. And so I thought that was cool. And he goes, well, me, I want to be a superstar. And I was like, that's cool. I don't. You know what I mean? I was like, that's fine.
Okay.
It was like, that's cool. But so I think what TV is like it's such a subjective sort of medium, right, and platform,
Totally.
because I can think like I'm really good at it, and people can watch me and be like, oh, this dude sucks, right? Or I
I
can
hear
think
you.
that I've done such a great job, and then jobs can come up, or there can be openings and new shows and different things, and people can pick the people that they like. And
Mhm.
so I think so that part of it was hard for me because there was no true checks and balances, no true wins and losses. And so it wasn't football that if I put the most effort in, if I produce the most, I'll get to play. It's like, yeah, if I'm friends with this executive and we go to lunch from time to time, then I'll get this job. Well, I'm actually not that nice of a person anyway. So like I had no shot of doing that. Like I'm not just going to lunch with you because you're the executive. Like we go to lunch, it's because we're cool. And so
Yeah.
I thought, and so like that was hard for me in the beginning, but like now I like it a little bit more. I think because I have so much more control over my career, my choices of what I do, and so much more respect and control of what I talk about, how I talk about it, the segments I'm involved in. And I think that's allowed me to take more ownership in what I do. Whereas like when it started, I was just kind of like, hey, this is the topic today, Ryan. You go. Right. I didn't like the sort of plug and play mentality of it all.
Is there ever like a topic and you could not care less? And they're like, Ryan. And it's like you have to be authentic, but you don't care. You have to like craft a response and act like you give a damn about what they're talking about, but you
All the
truly are
time.
like, what do you do?
On the production, but I think that's what I'm saying, Aaron, as far as like how I've gotten to grow in it, right? Like now I just take myself out.
Oh, all right.
Yes, so for me now on TV, like they'll call me and they'll ask me a question about something, and I'll be like, man, I really don't care. Like I do not care about that. Or they'll get to the point and they'll say, RC, I know you hate this, but I have to ask it. We're doing this segment that's this. And I can say this too, Aaron. Simply their acknowledgement of my feelings of it makes it easier to do.
I get it.
If that
Yep.
makes sense. Right?
Totally.
Simply them saying, RC, bro, I know you hate this, right? But we're doing this segment that's called Take It or Leave It. And we really want you in it. And so now it's like, okay, I figure out, I get to sort of figure out something I do want to talk about, how we involve it in that, and they're including me in how they build the segment, right?
Yeah.
Like we've moved past this is what we're doing, and you're gonna talk about it. I'm past that in my life. I'm past
Right.
that in my career, right?
Yeah.
And I also am at a point, Aaron, like I don't have to fight for TV time. You know what I'm saying? Like, trust me, I'm everywhere.
Yes, you are.
Unfortunately so sometimes. And so that's a blessing to not feel like, man, every minute of every show I need to be a part of it. So sometimes like there are things they want to talk about, and I truly say, hey, look, let those three do that. I'll take that segment off, and we can do something in the next segment. So yeah, but yeah, it's still stuff like Dallas Cowboys, for instance. Aaron, we talk about them no matter what their record is. There are many a day that I don't care that Jerry was talking about the glory hole. I don't. Like clearly Jerry doesn't know like the other meaning
You're
of it,
right.
and so but you get it that it's for the ratings. You get it that people care about the Cowboys, and so in those situations, like part of my job is to also entertain.
You do it so well, but they consider you. They consider like, we know you hate this, and you've established
Yeah.
yourself enough that it's like, I'll sit this one out. It's not like I'm still in the like hustle, like, well, they put this girl on, they're going to forget about me. Like you've established yourself to
Mm,
a point where like, I'm all right. Like I'm okay sitting back. We're going to get to that.
yeah.
Last question about just being on a network. I asked Sarah Haynes from The View this as well. You're supposed to give your opinion, and you are one of the most authentic people I know. How do you walk that line of like being authentic on what you think, and in this social media climate of getting canceled, which you've been closer, like is it on your mind? Like I got to watch how I say this.
Yeah, I think ESPN, because like we're always talking sports, it's not really hard. You
Okay.
know, if I get canceled for talking sports, like I've really tripped out. Um,
What
I
about
think,
pivot?
oh yeah, like I'm probably on the line of getting canceled on that like every day.
Do you consider that when you speak, or is it just like if some people
No,
are going to get it and some people won't?
I should consider it probably. I will say this, in the last thing we had, like when we were kind of talking about it earlier, the thing with RG3, right?
Yes.
My thoughts on it, and I truly believe this. My thoughts on it were spot on. The things that
Ryan, I'm taking this opportunity. I agree with you as a white woman in an interracial marriage. I have a
yeah
unique perspective that I can
yeah
say that as a white woman in an interracial marriage, I knew exactly what you were saying.
right, but we are in a climate now where if you say white or you say
Oh, I
black
did it.
and you're right and you're pointing out the differences of it, it's like you're you're being divisive. When in truth, no, I was just being truthful, and I was
Hmm.
making a point. Now, what I've learned, right, from that
Yeah.
is when there's a certain group or section of people that are tearing me down, I'm more right than I ever needed to be.
You're stirring
Right?
something up in them. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. When there is this pure outrage from a certain group of people about something I said, when I know truly there is no word you can pick from what I said and point to evil, point to racism, point to hate speech, point to divisiveness. There's no word. You can't grab a quote from it that says that. Right?
Hmm.
All you can do is take pieces of it and then I'll add your opinion based on your level of either inexperience or stupidity, or if you are trying to feed those, right, who feed you. And so, like, I've just learned that like you can't truly get canceled unless you say something or do something that's truly evil, especially when you're good at what you do, right?
Yes.
Like to bring it full circle for you,
Hmm.
more people were upset that I apologized than anything,
I'm going to ask you about that. Okay.
right? And so here was the thing: I didn't apologize for my intent. I apologized for my execution, right? Because because I was in my house that week, right, and I understood the hate and the attacks that Yanka had to suffer
Yes.
because of me,
Okay.
right?
Right.
And so my biggest thing was I didn't feel that Yank deserved that, right? I also know that I didn't attack his wife. I didn't. I said nice
No.
things about her.
No.
Now,
Right.
now, how I feel about him is never going to change, right? But I in no way wanted to attack her. I know, and he said like I brought up his kids, which I didn't, right? But in his point, his defense of me pointing out things that could have sparked a larger conversation was to cry Karen tears, right? And to call for my job. And so I think when I look back on it, I don't consider whether or not I'll be canceled. I do need to consider whether or not what I say can be used as a tool of division, right? Because that's not my heart.
Of
And
course not. Yeah.
so what made me, pretty much do 30 minutes on just that thing was clarity, right? Because my my thought is you can speak up for black women without tearing someone else down, without tearing a group of individuals down. And if I missed the mark there, then I have to be accountable for that,
You
right?
can't say you
Because
tore anybody down though. Like that's hard
I
for me.
didn't.
I know.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah.
I
So
didn't. But
it's
what I'm saying is, even if my words can now be used and manipulated in a way that causes division, I don't want that,
mhm.
right?
No,
And
of course
so,
not.
yeah, and so I think like I do need to I am certainly like that situation taught me about execution, right? Because you got this 3 minute or 4 minute clip and you need to execute in a way to where you have everything tight. So, but other than that, like I'm still going to speak my mind. I'm going to talk about everything I feel. I'm going to be opinionated. My opinion is going to be authentic. But I did learn that, okay, when I look at this thing, how do I execute in a way to where it's bulletproof? Right? And it's still sometimes like dummies are going to try to critique it and
Yeah.
and pick it apart. But like that's the one thing I think I learned from that situation is 100% be clear about it.
And you are always like completely authentic in who you are. Like some broadcast people have like a broadcast voice or persona. You talk exactly like you talk to
Yeah,
your
it's the
friend.
same thing.
Like you're just the same person. And I want to talk about how when you are just yourself, when you're just Ryan and you're on that energetic vibe of exactly who you are, you attract opportunities that match that vibe. TV is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. I will say during COVID, I was going live being myself. Like, what the hell am I supposed to do with a 2 and a 4-year-old when the gyms are closed and the
Yeah.
playgrounds were closed? That's all I was doing. A program director at WTOP was watching me every week. It's not an audition because I mean, if there was a podcast audition, I never would have even, it wouldn't have been on my radar. They're like, this is a show. They hire me to do this. I didn't turn on some kind of audition voice because I didn't know she was watching. This fell in my lap, being organically and authentically who I am. When people are dating, you do the
Mm,
opposite and you give
mm,
off not you to project what you think the other person wants. I absolutely did it in my 20s. And just like with careers, when you're on an energetic vibe that is not you, you're going to match not the match for you. I feel like a lot of women don't come into their own and really accept who they are and love who they are until damn near 40.
mm.
So then your relationship that started in your 20s, when you start living as who you actually are, it's not really aligned anymore. You have been with your wife through so many iterations of yourself. Like she was with college Ryan and then undrafted Ryan and then
Mm.
Pro Bowler, media personality, like through all of those iterations of yourself. And I'm sure of Yanka, you stayed aligned and together. How do you
Mm.
sustain relationships through all the different versions of yourself and just stay committed like you have through all of that change?
I would love to say that that's because I'm super awesome. That's not it. I have a wife that doesn't quit. Like truly, um, she's been married to like six different people.
Yes.
And honestly, in most marriages, you will be. And it's how do you stay with the person you're married to in the moment? And like all of it hasn't been great. Like I can
Okay.
be honest.
Okay.
For her, for
Please.
sure.
I get
Right?
it.
For her for sure. Like there's been, you're with this guy who is truly probably irrationally attached to football. Right?
Okay.
There's a level of work ethic and time that he feels he has to put into it in order to give the game all it wants. And all you can think of is one, because he did it that way, he got 13 years out of it. But once those 13 years are over, we as a family get to have it, right? And
Yeah.
then he decides to do this thing that at first he's not really crazy about, that he actually might be better at than the first thing,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so now it's like, okay, you got to share them with that too. And not only share them with that, it's like this thing is so visible. Now she has to share me with all these people. Like we can't walk through airports, or we can't eat
Yeah.
dinner, or we can't do this. And I still travel a ton. And so a lot of it is her being like building this, honestly, and crafting our family and taking care of our family. And then it's on me to do my part. And sometimes I'm really good at doing my part, and like other times I'm not. And I was having a conversation with somebody the other day. It's like you got to choose to stay, and in choosing to stay, you got to choose to work. And when one side of it is not working as hard as the other, you're gonna have an issue, because I don't necessarily think it's always about, and people may disagree with this. I mean, shit, I don't know. It's not about necessarily always the outcome, but it's about the output, right? Or if you
I
switch
feel
it,
that.
the input, right? It's
Yeah.
not that what was produced from your effort is exactly what I wanted, but it is that the effort you put into it was exactly what I wanted. Like I said, I needed this, and I watched you work from here to get as close to this as you possibly could. And honestly, you only got here, but I know that you tried to give me exactly what I wanted. And I'm cool with that. I'm comfortable with that because you showed me you care. You showed me your concern. And I think that having someone who could see that part of you and not be continuously sort of infatuated with results is how we've been able to stay together. Because trust me, I have been far from perfect. And what we've learned is you're right. Like she met me when I was 17.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the kid that was 17, as talented of a 17-year-old that he was, he never expected that he'd accomplish all of this by 45.
Yeah.
And he also wasn't ready for the life you sometimes have to live in order to accomplish these things. And
Yes.
when the girl that was 16 is sort of still the same, and not like, because like now she's in a PhD program, she's a
Yeah.
licensed counselor here, like she's done all these different things, but like at her core, like she'd give all that up for just like the five of us to be happy, right? The three kids and us.
Yeah.
And that's a lot different for me because I'm like, well, I want to accomplish this and I want to do this and I want to do that. So melding those understandings has been difficult, but like we've just figured out a way to do it, and we're still doing it today.
Yes. It's almost like the spouse signed up for one version, and this was you.
Yeah,
Both of us ended up doing something that was not the plan. That, like, obviously she knew you're going to play football, but it's like then you have the career that you did, and now you're like this well-known
yeah,
media personality. And I, in my marriage, I don't want to get into too details, but I was going to be a stay-at-home mom, and I said that, and that is
yeah,
what my husband signed up for. And I didn't see this coming, but I kind of what you were describing. I'm stepping into it, and I never felt more lit up. But like, arguably, that's not what he signed up for, and I understand that. I also think men see what they saw their father do and what they saw
mm,
from fathers growing up, like a father role versus a mother role. We did not sustain our marriage through marriage with young kids. That is kind of when we just, and I think the expectations that were unmet of like what a mom does, everything, and what a dad does based on what people saw growing up. Like, can you speak to that? Can you see it all like from what you saw from fathers growing up? And I know Mr. Mike and Miss Sheila are still together, your parents. I'm not even speaking to him specifically, but it's like you have this expectation that the mom does this and the wife does this because that's all you've ever seen. And then if that person is not living up to that expectation, it's like they're a shitty wife, or you start to feel that way because it's like, well, my mom did this, but that's just what
yeah.
you saw in your upbringing of what a man does. Is that
You know what I think is, and I talk about most of this right from mistakes. Like I don't talk about these things from this experience point of being involved because like I got married when I was 24.
yeah,
Couples, individuals don't communicate their wants, needs, and desires enough.
right? Because pride.
Right? You
Yeah,
just don't. You
yeah,
don't like you actually don't have, and some people may, right? Like it's kind of what you said, right? Even when you go to like pre-marriage counseling, you're actually not necessarily being fully honest, right? Because you are in love with
yes,
this
yes,
person is in love with you. You know that pretty much whatever said in that room, like you're still going to marry this human, right? You're in the room but you don't tell them, hey, you know what? Like one day I could change.
hmm,
One day I could be different. I don't necessarily know that I'm going to want to be the same stay at home mom 10 years from now as I'm signing up to be today. And
yeah,
then sometimes you don't know, but when that thing changes because you're setting these rules, right? Like I I felt like Bianca and I had roles, but those roles weren't based on my parents because my dad didn't do what I did for a living,
true, yeah, exactly.
right? Like my dad worked a ton of jobs, and but my dad was home for this, home for that, and so I wasn't going to be that sort of dad, so I couldn't have the sort of wife my mom was, but I was also the type of dad that like I'm coming home from work or from practice, and if food wasn't cooked, like I wasn't tripping. Like I know you got these three kids. Where do you want me to stop and get it from?
Yeah,
Right? I wasn't like, hey, this house has to be spotless at all times because these three little jokers just do whatever the hell they want sometimes.
yes,
And so
hmm,
like I was comfortable with that, but there were some things that I wanted done or expected to be done based on some of the freedoms I felt you'd have because you got to be a stay-at-home mom, because the kids went to school,
I hear that.
right? And
Yeah,
and so like when those things aren't done, it wasn't based on the roles I saw growing up. It was based on the roles I thought that we stepped into. Now, here's where men are cheeky, right? If your
listen,
wife's going to be in that role and you're not going to do as many of the actual tangible physical things that it takes in order to run that household, then you probably have to be more emotionally supportive than a man who's taking on the task of doing those things. I wasn't always that,
right,
right? Because I'm like, well, damn, like how emotionally supportive I have to be when I'm so damn financially supportive. That's the That's the
That's it.
simple, right? That's the simple minded thing of like, my mom had nowhere near this much money, this much time to be by herself, all these things. And so I think we're all constantly evolving and we're all constantly learning. I think what's really sad, I know for me for sure, like I look back at how I was and how lonely it had to be sometimes in her thoughts, in her feelings, because like I couldn't understand. And I think by the time a woman gets to the point where she wants to share that with someone who is so laser focused and narrow minded of what they feel and see and want, it doesn't come out the right way,
Yeah.
right? Because we haven't been
Yes.
sharing throughout, because like throughout you haven't said, hey, look, like this is getting a little hard on me, can you help? It's like when it comes out, it's from
It's
hurt,
big.
it's from
It's
anger, and
big.
it's big.
All those little ones are building until finally, and then they're like, "What the hell?" It's like, why is
Yeah,
because you didn't say the small one. It festers until you just blow up on the person because
yeah,
I had the pride of like, if I ask for help, like I said, I always give this example. I'm wiping a butt, one baby, one is in the bath, and I'm like this. And I was like, why is my ex, their father, not? And I was like, hello, like, can I get you anything? Very passive aggressively, not nice, but like, he's like, you didn't ask me. But my pride was like, could somebody help me? Feels like I'm the mom. Like, I should be able to do it. So I wouldn't ask. And then I would go talk shit and be like, oh, it must be nice. Can I get you something? Like, because he didn't help, but I wouldn't ask because my pride wouldn't let me. So I know my fault in it, but then I would just be like, all right, I'm not going to say anything. And then a big reaction would come out to something kind of small because of what you just said, because I bit my tongue on so many. Communication was not there. And I think there was pride on both sides. Um, I want to talk about pride and vulnerability. You do it so beautifully, especially like as a Black man and how you were raised. Was that a journey to get to like have the mental health conversations? Like, does it come naturally? Like, and I asked that in a lens of like seeing my son be told when he wrecks himself to get up and tough it out, and boys don't cry, and it's weak. And so being raised to think it's weak to do what you do now, was it a journey to come to how you speak so openly?
my dad's a crier, so that, I
I
think that,
believe it. I love your
yeah,
dad.
I think that helps. I come from honestly, I come from like a family. The Clarks are a family of men who like cuss and fuss and fight a lot, but they all cry a ton, right? It's a very
Yeah.
very strange thing. And my dad, if you listen to him, whenever he talks to his friends, he tells them he loves them before he gets off the phone.
I love that.
And so like I've always been like, my dad was always kind of like, he wasn't in any way very expressively like vulnerable, but like he never played the tough guy with me. Like he just didn't. And so I don't think I ever had sort of that problem. I think my willingness to talk about things like that is that like I just know I'm so flawed in so many ways. So I have a lot of grace for people.
Mhm.
I have a lot of like, bruh, like I get it that you want to be better and that you aren't. You know what I'm saying? And I think I get so much praise and applause for certain things that I'm very almost uncomfortable and embarrassed by, right? Because it's like, you asked me about marriage.
Mhm.
A very simple answer to the reason my marriage still stands is because Yanka won't let it die. Like
That's how it should be.
she's just freaking awesome.
That's
You know
what
what I'm
you
saying? Like,
vowed, though. She's living out her vows. And it's like when you see the divorce rate, it's like all those people said, better or worse, sickness and health till death do us part. Everyone said that. But some
yeah,
people just don't live that. Like it's,
they don't. And honestly, you know, in our world, some of like her her level of like morals and values is like just uncommon.
mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And so like I'm in a house with that person every day, all the time, and there's a level of like in insufficiency, right? Inferiority. That's like, damn, like how, like where are you from? You know what I mean? And so I do have to like assess myself a ton. And I think what we get, or what happens on the pivot, or when I have that platform, is all the things like I'm assessing about myself weekly or daily. Like I just talk about it, and I'm comfortable sharing them. I don't have to be perfect. You know what I mean? Like I
I
think
love it.
that's the big part. Like I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to behave like I'm perfect. And if you listen to me because you want to find perfection, you probably should listen to somebody else because I ain't got it. And that's what's been really cool about the platform too, is like we've opened up a space where people feel comfortable. We're sitting
Yes.
with someone. We already did the show, and it's legitimately one of my favorite shows we've ever done because he's a very rich, very talented athlete, and the first thing he says to me, he's like, "I don't talk much. I don't do a lot of interviews because I'm still healing."
Mm,
And right after he says it, I was like, honestly, bro, the fact that you know that puts you way ahead of a lot of people. you
100%.
know. And so when somebody sits down like that, right, or whenever you have a level of understanding of like how far you need to go, the authenticity is there because you're not putting on any airs for approval. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing. Like you was like, I was just being myself. I'm on live, right?
Yeah.
Because you were talking about like the difficulties of something, and
Hmm.
when you're able to talk about like how difficult something is, like that's your truest self. Because who are you
Yeah.
putting on airs for if you're
Exactly.
saying, nah, I'm effed up? So I think that's kind of how I'm able to do it.
What a beautiful transition. That show was called Squats and Margaritas, and I was
Yeah.
drinking a lot of margaritas. Um, Recently, I've had a little bit of a pivot and a rebrand, and I'm going to share it. I did this in DMs because I don't want to be embarrassed, but whatever. You posted something that said clean all year. I didn't want to ask my question in the comments, so I go to DM and I was like, does clean all year mean sober? And you said nope, and it meant clean, like your outfits are great. But you regretted to inform me that you are, like you just said
Yeah.
no. So then later, I don't know, a couple weeks later, you post something. I was like, what? That's why I was asking if clean all year because
Yeah.
I'm on the same journey. I was squats and margaritas. It did change my body. I found my physical ideal when I just stopped obsessing and just worked out a few days a week. And I was like, daily indulgences, have the margarita. When I'm living in restriction, I was holding on to like excess weight because of stress. That was my platform.
Hmm.
After COVID, I was like, all margaritas. And I was getting these hits. Like the only way I can explain it was like these like spiritual hits, like you need to stop drinking. But for a while,
Mm.
I was like, no, I don't want to like it, but it's fun. And like, I heard it, but I was like, not really leaning in. Like I would do a dry January or something. This past year, I've completely leaned in, but I need help with it's not FOMO of like, I'm missing out on fun because I don't have that at all. I can't be
Yeah.
around. I don't know if socially it gets easier, but I hate going out because people are drunk and no one is interesting. And I just feel like I'm like the conversations are so like I have had to leave. I feel like I'm just like, oh, tell me about your son. And it's just like they're all drunk and I am very in my head and aware and I can't be out socially. I don't know if that gets easier
It
with you.
doesn't.
You just don't go out ever? Well, you don't have time anyway,
Yeah,
but
so, yeah, I don't really have time, but like I remember, like when we first started the pivot was before I stopped drinking. I stopped drinking in September of 22. That was
why?
the last time I missed the flight home. Right, we had a show. We went out to eat. We had like some wine. We ended up getting really late. I had to be at the airport at 4:30, and like I woke up late, and I was like, man, like I can't. I had to do something that day here. I was like, I can't be missing flights. Can't be too tired. And so I really didn't decide to stop drinking um to never drink again, which I don't
Right.
even know if I will drink again. Like I might, like I don't have a
Right.
problem with it. I
Right.
just like I'm gonna chill out for a little bit. And I went like a week, then I went like 2 weeks, and I went like 3 weeks, and it was a month, and it was another month. And it got to the point like I just didn't need to. Right. And what happens is So if I would go out to eat with Jan, right, or friends, what happens? People come to the table. They say, "Would you like anything besides water?" Everybody orders a drink,
Yep.
right? Everybody orders a drink. So then I was like, okay, I'll take a, you know, this. You've been around me forever. I take a Michelob Ultra, or I take a glass of wine, right? And then, so the first thing was, what do I replace that habit? And it was
Yes.
club soda, right?
Okay.
So I was like, so now I'd order a club soda, which just it became my habit, right? It wasn't that. And so what happens is the reason you don't like being out, say for this, the reason I don't like being out socially is because I don't have anything to do while everybody else is drinking.
Mm.
Right? It is too that they're stupid,
It's
right? Like
so, I
people,
can't handle it.
you're locked in to who
Yes.
you are normally, and they've now become these different people. But the other part of it is too is like, what else am I doing? The ordering of another glass of wine or another margarita gives you something, even though you're talking, you're taking a sip, right? When you
Yeah.
just got club soda, you're like, I'm gonna float the F away. I get another club soda.
I
I don't
know.
have anything to do. Like, you're not only stupid to me, but I'm
Yes.
bored, and
Yes.
that doesn't change. It doesn't change, um, because you realize, one, that you're tired when you're actually tired. That's the
Yeah.
first thing, and like, you're not having as much fun as the other people, which pisses you off as well. Yeah, it doesn't. But the I don't I never wake up and feel weird or off or
No.
tired
Right.
or any of those things. And to me, that was of greater value
That's,
than being someone that other people found socially entertaining to be around.
that is it. That there is no better feeling than how I wake up now. Just not that
Yep.
I was waking up hungover, but just a little off, like to just be clear. There's no better feeling. But I have the FOMO of like, you're at a steakhouse or something, somebody gets a nice bottle of wine. I want a glass, like I feel like I'm missing out. Like, no, no, poor, like, what does that get easier? You don't have that? Oh my
No, it
God.
doesn't. Like, I still have it's probably, I would say, a weekly thought where I go, uh, maybe I'll start drinking red wine. Like, honestly, it's a weekly thought that I'm like, if I go to a steakhouse
Yes.
and we order a nice bottle of wine, I'll have a glass. Like, it never goes away because alcohol wasn't ruining my life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, I
It wasn't
wasn't.
rock bottom, like you had to make a
No,
decision.
no,
Yeah.
like, it wasn't like
Right.
I wasn't one of those people that drunk every week or shoot, sometimes every month, right? It was just like
Yeah.
socially, like but the thing what happened with me was I was a social drinker, and because we started to pivot and we traveled together, we would eat out all the time,
Yeah.
right? And so, like, if every time you eat out though, you're like, hey, let's get a bottle of wine, guys. You eat out 3 times in a row that week, like, you
Mm.
drank 3 times. And so like, that was kind of why I chilled out. But no, it doesn't really get any easier. You just realize it's also, I'll tell you this. I'll ask you this question,
Yeah.
right? And this is the question I ask myself all the time. No, alcohol was not always hurting me. But tell me the one time in your life alcohol helped you.
Oh my God. I wrote that down. Like I'm so much better without it. I'm better. Like it makes you worse. There's no positive. Yeah. Did I tell you the Teddy Swims? I went to the concert and I heard myself in the videos. Did I tell you that on Instagram?
Uh-uh.
That's the last time. That's why I was like, I'm done drinking. That was December. What is it now? June? 6 months. I hear myself on these videos. I'm talking to everyone around me. Like I'm filming Teddy, but I never want to represent myself like that ever again in my life. Like, and that was rare that I would binge drink like that, but it's not making you better. You don't look cool. You're not like, it's making you worse. Okay. This is what I wanted you to come on the show just to talk to you about. I use you as a reference all the time, not as a reference for the show, but when I'm talking about this concept, a spiritual business coach came on, which sounds a little woo woo, but she was like, everyone operates in 3 zones: a zone of excellence, exceptional, and eh. And like, eh is like accounting or finance. Like that's not my realm. Like that's not where I'm at. Then excellent is what you went to school for, what you're proficient and trained in. That's football.
Oh.
You were an excellent football player. You went to school for football, but there is another level. And a lot of people don't tap into it. You are my example. I'm like, look at Ryan Clark. Excellent football player, Pro Bowl, Super Bowl champion, but you're exceptional that you have stepped into is exactly what you're doing now. And it's such a
Thank
lot of
you.
people, yeah, a lot of people saying excellent because it's like, no, like, or some people stop after excellence because they're like, I did that. And that's what I am
Mm.
trained in. Or maybe like there's an accountant that went to school for accounting, but they're the person that everybody comes to for like to talk things out. Maybe they're supposed to be a therapist and their soul was put on this planet to do that,
Yeah.
but they're like, no, accounting. Few people step into exceptional and you have done it.
Right.
So I use you a lot. I wanted to tell you that. Like I use you as the example of,
I
yeah,
appreciate it.
you're excellent at this, but like there's another level and you have clearly
Mm.
tapped into that. And not that there's anything wrong with the name of your show. There are obviously pivots in life. But I have to share, I was speaking in Denver and I was telling my story from I'm sure you know, like I had multiple eating disorders. Like I wrote my first book
Mm-hmm.
about coming through that. And then I was squats and margaritas. And I told myself I went through all that with the bulimia and anorexia to come out on the other side and be like, no, it's just squats and margaritas and stop restricting. And that's my purpose. And I said, I pivoted.
Mm.
And now I don't drink. And now I have a mental health podcast that I have these conversations and a pivot. And I used to look at my divorce. Like it's a pivot. It's a pivot. This woman stands up and she's like, I can't have you keep saying pivot. She's like, yeah, there are pivots, but a pivot is a lateral move. So you pivoted
Mm.
from Washington to New York to Pittsburgh. You're a safety in the NFL. Pivot, lateral. This is a rise. You are
Mm.
a higher version of yourself. And there are pivots, but you have stepped into profound purpose and what your soul was put on this planet to do. So she's like, it's not a pivot. Stop saying it's a pivot, it's a rise. And so I was like, that's kind of like with you, every time I hear the word, like you have pivoted and it is a pivot, but
Mm.
you're a higher version and you're so clearly in what you're supposed to be doing. So there are pivots and there are rises, and this is a rise.
Well, I like that. I would say this though, right?
Mhm.
I learned this probably too late in life. I was never goal oriented though,
How so?
right? So like I was never like I wanna you want to accomplish things, but I wanted to be the type of person that accomplished those things. It
Okay.
wasn't about the accomplishment, right? I wanted to be voted captain. Like I just thought, like for an undrafted free agent, like that was the
Yeah.
coolest thing in the world. Like my teammates think the work I've put in, the effort, the way I show up for them, the way I show up for this team, that I should be the person that gets to figure out whether or not we get the ball to start every game.
Yeah.
Like I thought I was like, oh my goodness, like I
Yeah.
couldn't believe that. But I didn't I didn't go, okay, let me just get there. I said, what type of person does that? Somebody that shows up for his teammates, someone that works hard, someone that's always out front, someone that's always authentic, someone that's accountable, right? I wanted to be all of those things. And because I wanted to be all of those things, that when you make that pivot or that lateral move that you're
Mhm.
talking about, guess what? I'm still all of those things.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
true.
now I apply all of those things in a different phase, in a different walk of life. And it's because of that that like you're taking all of these bits and pieces from all of your experiences. And when you finally do get to something that's your purpose and you can match that with enough passion or with a passion, you're taking all of these things that have made you who you are and you're applying it to that thing. And so when I'm having the conversation, like we talked about earlier, that you said, he's like, nah, as a white woman, I agree with that. I'm having that conversation based on my experiences of, yes, I raised a daughter that's half white and half black
Yeah.
with
Right.
a black woman and with our children. And
Mhm.
now, because of the platform we've created, I can share that with the world. And so I think, I never thought that my purpose was talking about football. That's for sure. Um, and I don't know if where this and I am in media even ends up being the thing that I leave a legacy doing, because like my legacy is what's gonna happen in this house, right? What's gonna happen to these children?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen to Yanka? And I'm so blessed to be able to be where I am. But like this isn't it. This isn't where it stops, and so we'll see what thing is next.
What is next if you could write the story?
You know what? I don't know.
Okay.
I used to, so I wanted to be a GM. Honestly, like that was
Nice.
what I wanted to do. I don't necessarily know if that's the thing I still want to do. I want to create stories. I started my own production company. I
You
want to
did?
do. I did. I want to do docu series. I want to do scripted shows. Like I think it's fun. I've learned that allowing people to narrate their own stories is where I find joy. Right. I don't want to necessarily be the guy that tells his story all the time as much as I help people open up so they can tell theirs. And so I think there's some things that are still coming. Right now, though, I just want this family to be good. I want my people to be happy. I want to share some time with Mike, and Sheila. Uh, they're still together. They're still
Me
awesome.
too. Yeah.
You know,
I want to
just
share some time with them.
they're the best. They're the absolute best.
Speaking of writing the end, you should write a book. I'm sure I'm not the only person that said you need to write your memoir. No?
People have asked me, right? People have asked me,
Yeah.
I had an agent and they were really big about me writing a book. I'm gonna share something here that like I don't share often, and I probably haven't said it publicly. Is like I have it's I don't want to call it imposter syndrome, right? Because in the realms I work in, I feel very comfortable
Sure.
because I know the effort I've put in. But it's like, why would somebody want to read my book? Like
Stop.
what? Like I see, no, truly, I see these people. I see these people write their memoirs, and I'm like, man, like, is your story finished, or
Dude.
what is it in between those pages that I need to know? And I look at myself like that, like even walking the red carpet the other day at the
Yeah, I
BET,
saw.
I was trying like the man. There's like the edge of where they take the pictures the man like, no, you got to go back. You got to go back because I was trying to rush off. I felt
Yeah.
like I had taken enough pictures because I'm like, man, like, what am I doing here? Like I'm watching all these stars walk by, and I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here taking these pictures. And so I have a real thing about being like, okay, I've done enough, or my life or my accomplishments are worthy of this particular thing. So I don't know if I'll ever write a book or be
Get
comfortable enough
rid of
to write.
that. I'm like, overlooked the story of Ryan Clark, but you said you don't really look at it as overlooked. An undrafted free agent to 13 seasons, Pro Bowl, Super Bowl champion to the most well-known like sports media person. Like your story has value and is inspiring. And I can call you and tell you that every day if you need that. But
Not gonna change it. Exactly.
I
And that's
mean,
something. Hey, I'll tell you this though. I'll tell you this as a black man. I'll be honest with you. I'm in therapy every single week. Every single
same.
week.
Yeah,
Every single week.
good.
Therapy.
Good.
And I'm having those conversations. I recommend therapy all the
Mm,
time. I talk to my kids about it. I think it's something everybody should do. And listen, there are going to be weeks where you don't really have much to talk about, and you're going to get on that phone and end up having the most therapeutic hour of your life because something will come up. And so I think that's the thing I'll leave everybody with, man. Like, take care of yourself. Just because you feel okay doesn't mean there's not something that you are dealing with on a daily basis that could unlock an opportunity for you to be better for yourself and for the people around
this is beautiful. I know how scheduled you are, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you saying yes. And I can't wait to see what you do next.
you. My girl, I appreciate you, Erin.